Ukrainian fighters in Mariupol say surrender not an option. The pledge comes as the most senior Russian government official yet to set foot in Mariupol welcomes the restoration of peace in liberated cities. Ukrainian fighters at the besieged Azovstal steel plant in the southeastern city of Mariupol have vowed to continue to fight until the end, as they retain the last holdout against Russian forces in the strategic port. "We will continue to fight as long as we are alive to repel the Russian occupiers," Captain Sviatoslav Palomar, a deputy commander of Ukraine's Azov regiment, told an online "We don't have much time, we are coming under intense shelling," he said, pleading with the international community to help to evacuate wounded soldiers from the plant in Mariupol. Ilya Samolenko, an Azov Regiment intelligence officer, said, all of the military personnel in the garrison of Mariupol, we have witnessed the war crimes performed by Russia, by the Russian army, we are witnesses. Surrender is not an option because Russia is not interested in our lives." Samolenko added that supplies are limited. "We still have water. We still have munitions. We will have our personal weapons. We will fight until the best resolution of the situation," he said. Ukraine has said that all women, children and elderly civilians have been allowed to flee from Azovstal as part of a humanitarian mission coordinated by the United Nations and the Red Cross. President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Saturday that his government was preparing for the second stage of the evacuation mission, focusing on the wounded and medics. Diplomatic efforts to evacuate the remaining soldiers were also underway, albeit extremely difficult, Zelensky said. The Ukrainian military said Russia was continuing its intensive shelling of the plant. Moscow claimed it had taken control of the city on the Sea of Azov on April 21 after nearly 2 months of siege, despite Ukrainian fighters still being holed up in the sprawling Soviet-era steel mill. Territories liberated by Russian forces. Meanwhile, Russian Deputy Prime Minister Marat Kosnelin visited Mariupol on Sunday, becoming the country's most senior government official to set foot in the port city after weeks of Russian bombardment. Kosnelin, who is in charge of construction and urban development in the Russian government, said on Telegram that he had visited Mariupol and the eastern Ukrainian town of Vonoveka among other territories liberated by Russian forces. Restoration of peaceful life begins in the regions. There's a lot of work to be done. We will help, in particular, with providing humanitarian aid, he wrote in a Telegram post. Kosnelin visited the commercial port of Mariupol, which he said should be used to bring in building materials to restore the city, according to the Russian Defense Ministry's TV channel Zvezda. The port, which lies between the Crimea Peninsula seized by Moscow in 2014 and parts of eastern Ukraine taken by Russian-backed separatists the same year, is key to linking up the two Russian-held territories and blocking Ukraine. The port will ship off the first cargo from the Russian-backed self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic in May, its head Denis Pushilin, who accompanied Kosnelin, said on Russia-Ukraine War Live. Kyiv accuses Moscow of killing 20,000 Mariupol residents in 2 months. The Russia-Ukraine war has now entered day 74 with crippling damage to civil life and infrastructure in Ukraine. U.S. President Joe Biden announces additional military aid for Ukraine. The British Ministry of Defense has stated that the war in Ukraine is taking a heavy toll on some of Russia's most competent forces. Ukraine's foreign ministry compares deaths caused by Russian soldiers to those by Nazis. The Ukrainian foreign ministry, in a tweet, claimed that the Russian forces have killed more than 20,000 residents of Mariupol within 2 months. On the other hand, the Nazis killed 10,000 in 2 years during their occupation in the Second World War, the ministry claimed. It even shared pictures of Mariupol featuring the ruined buildings resulting from Russian bombings. During World War II, the Nazis killed 10,000 civilians in #Mariupol within 2 years of the occupation. Russian invaders have already killed more than 20,000 residents of Mariupol within 2 months. Now the city is almost ruined by #Russian bombardments and airstrikes. Europe marks May Day as war rages in Ukraine, Macron lays wreath in Paris and ceremonies are held in Berlin as continent commemorates the 77th anniversary of victory over Nazi. French President Emmanuel Macron laid a wreath at the Arc de Triomphe today as he led commemorations across Europe marking V-Day, while the war continues to rage. A new Victory in Europe Day is on May 8 to coincide with the anniversary of Nazi Germany agreeing to surrender 77 years ago. While ceremonies are held to remember the courageous efforts of those who fought in World War II, the focal point for many today is Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russia itself does not celebrate the end of World War II on May 8 but on May 9, as Joseph Stalin insisted on being present for the signing of the surrender and held his own ceremony a day late. Ukraine's President Zelensky released a Victory Day video from Borodianka for May 8. Saying that evil had returned. He questioned the phrase "never again," following up by saying try telling Ukraine that. While UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson took the opportunity to once again show his support for Ukraine, French President Emmanuel Macron led the ceremony in Paris by laying a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier underneath the Arc de Triomphe. While Prime Minister Boris Johnson directed his V-Day address towards the ongoing conflict in Ukraine following Russia's invasion. He said, on V-Day, as we remember those who sacrificed their lives in World War II, we also think of those who've died and suffered in Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. Our respect and gratitude for those who have fought in previous conflicts strengthens our determination to support the people of Ukrainian in their struggle. We won't forget the sacrifices that have been made over the generations to ensure peace and freedom in Europe. Large-scale parades across Europe are less likely or will have been downsized as no leader is too keen to be celebrating the ending of a conflict in Europe while one currently wages, though it has been used as an opportunity to convey a somber message about the Russian invasion and its destruction. Ukrainians living in Taipei, Taiwan, use the 77th V-Day to protest Russia invasion to their homeland. While in Germany, the Berlin Regional Senate banned the showing of Ukrainian and Russian flags near memorials during the weekend of the 77th anniversary of the end of Second World War. They said this is to avoid the instrumentalization of symbols in correlation to the ongoing war in Ukraine. Although many seem undeterred by the new rule, I said to Joe I can't just sit by and do nothing. Jill Biden says she went to meet Ukrainian refugees because she was so inspired by sight of them kissing families goodbye after Putin. First Lady Jill Biden spent Mother's Day at the Slovakia-Ukraine border, meeting and offering support to Ukrainian mothers and children who have been displaced by Russia's invasion, after telling President Biden, I can't just sit by and. The First Lady said in an interview that aired Saturday that the resilience and strength of the refugees who kissed their loved ones goodbye while their country was being attacked inspired her to help, and that she needed to go stand with the mothers of Ukraine. Like most Americans watching the TV, we saw all those mothers gathering their children, kissing their husbands goodbye, and then leaving the country, Biden told MSNBC's Simone Sanders. And it just was so emotional and just so heart-wrenching. And I said to Joe, I can't sit by, I just can't sit by and do nothing. Biden traveled to Romania first, where she spent Friday and Saturday visiting with U.S. troops and meeting with Ukrainian refugee families. If they can be strong, then I can be strong for them, Biden said. So I hope I bring strength, saying the people of the United States, I hope that they know that I have the hearts of everyone in the United States, am carrying the United States with me to say we're standing with you. They need so much, Biden told Sanders. You know they have so many children without parents, you know, so many orphans that need childcare, that need clothing, that need health supplies. I mean they need. Biden is on a 4-day trip to Eastern Europe to highlight U.S. support for Ukrainian refugees and for the allied countries, including Romania and Slovakia, that are providing a safe haven. The trip, which is the most high-profile one to date taken by the First Lady, is only her second solo overseas trip. Last summer she went to Tokyo to cheer on U.S. athletes at the Olympic Summer Games. At a bus station in the city of Košice that is now a 24-hour refugee processing center, Biden found herself in an extended conversation with a Ukrainian woman who said she struggles to explain the war to her 3 children because she cannot understand. "I cannot explain because I don't know myself and am a teacher," Victoria Kudyka, who had her arms around her 7-year-old daughter, Yulia, told Biden. At one point, Kudyka asked, "Why?" seeming to seek an explanation for Russia's decision to invade Ukraine on February 24. "It's so hard to understand," the First Lady replied. The 24-hour facility is one of 6 refugee centers in Slovakia, providing an average of 300 to 350 people daily with food, showers, clothing, emergency on-site accommodations and other services, according to information provided by Biden. Wearing a flower corsage on her wrist, a Mother's Day gift from President Joe Biden, also dropped in at a Slovakian public school that has taken in displaced Slovakian and Ukrainian moms were brought together at the school for a Mother's Day event while their children made crafts to give them as gift. Biden went from table to table meeting the mothers and kids. She told some of the women that she wanted to come and say the hearts of the American people are with the mothers of Ukraine. "I just wanted to come and show you our support," she said before departing for the border village of East Nemec to tour its border processing facility. At the border village, Biden surveyed operations set up by the United Nations and other relief organizations to assist Ukrainians seeking refuge in Slovakia. She attended a religious service in a tent set up as a chapel, where a priest intoned, "We pray for the people of Ukraine." In recent weeks border crossings are averaging less than 2,000 per day, down from over 10,000 per day immediately following Russia's further invasion of Ukraine, and a large portion of that flow is daily cross-border traffic. Biden fought back tears on Saturday as she heard heartbreaking stories from Ukrainian refugees about fleeing their homeland, and she warned the humanitarian crisis could get worse. Among the stories the First Lady heard during her visit to a public school in Romania, which has taken in refugees, was one from 7-year-old Mila of Kyiv, who told Biden, "I want to return to." The 90-minute visit was filled with joy in addition to the sorrow. In addition to hearing the anguishing stories, Biden also laughed with the kids during their art projects, handed out presidential M&Ms, but she appeared anguished at times when she sat down with a group of Ukrainian women who described the trauma of trying to rebuild their lives in a new country. Anastasia Konovalova, a Ukrainian teacher who fled and marched to Romania, told the First Lady her only thoughts were saving her child. "I crossed the border with my 3-year-old son and everything I was thinking about was how to save my child from a city that was bombed," she said. "Thank God the Romanian people were here," Biden told her, "We stand with you. I hope you know that." She praised the women for being strong. "I think mothers will do anything for their children. I think you're amazingly strong and resilient," Biden said. "It's just amazing that the Romanian people have taken you into their homes and into their hearts." The First Lady appeared on the verge of tears as she listened to the refugees' stories. Almost 6 million refugees have fled Ukraine since Russia invaded on February 24, according to the United Nations. Nearly 7,000 are entering Romania a day, with roughly 900,000 total having come to Romania thus far, though many have continued on to other countries. "Wasn't it heartbreaking?" Biden told reporters traveling with her of the visit. "The little girl that said her wish was to be with her daddy, and then another said my wish is to go home, and then you can see it, those children really." She said she was worried the humanitarian crisis, which is being called the worst since World War II, will continue to grow. "We wake up every morning and think this has to end, but it still keeps going on," she said. She described her visit to the Scola Gimnazială Uruguay in Bucharest as amazing and emotional. She visited the school, which is hosting 2 classrooms of refugees aged 5 to 15 years, with Romanian First Lady Cămin Iohannis. Support at the school is being provided by the Romanian government, UNHCR, UNICEF and Save the Children. I'm very grateful that you took the time and made the effort to visit us, Iohannis told her. Sticking together, being united is very important to us. During her school visit, Biden dispensed with hugs and posed for selfies. She handed flowers to the Ukrainian mothers ahead of Mother's Day. And she gave Heidi Jr. chocolate bars and Air Force One M&Ms with President Biden's signature to the In addition to hearing their stories, she asked the kids what they wanted to be when they grew up. She also watched them do arts and crafts projects. The children were tracing their hands and cutting them out on paper printed with Ukrainian and Romanian flags. They wrote messages of hope on paper butterflies. She and Iohannis also were treated to a performance. Students sang the Romanian national anthem and then a Ukrainian military march song. In a briefing with UN officials, Biden, a teacher, asked about the mental health services and schooling available to children. She was told they need more counselors and need to continue to train teachers to be able to assist students with trauma. She tied her trip to Mother's Day weekend with the focus being on the Ukrainian families who have suffered since Vladimir Putin invaded their country. Her daughter Ashley was scheduled to travel with her but dropped out of the trip after a close contact with a person who tested positive for COVID. Ashley has tested negative.